Welcome back to the Explainer. Okay, so today we're diving into something super fascinating, but honestly a little bit unsettling. It turns out that right now, literally as we are speaking, someone in your life might actually be manipulating you. And the craziest part? It's not because there's some sort of cartoonish villain, and it is certainly not because you're weak. It's because manipulation tactics are deeply, deeply embedded in our everyday behaviors. So much so that most people don't even realize they're doing it, and you've actually been trained not to recognize it. So, I really want you to ask yourself, are you being manipulated right now? Well, by the time we wrap up this explainer, you're going to be fully equipped to spot 5 very specific manipulation tactics, the exact moment they happen. And here's the absolute best part. Once you can name them, you strip them of almost all their power. We are going to build a psychological toolkit today that will completely change how you decode your daily interactions.
Here's our roadmap for today. 1. The social contract exploit. 2. Gaslighting and love bombing. 3. Triangulation and moving goalposts. 4. The DARVO defense. And 5. How to break free. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The social contract exploit.
Before we can really start spotting the individual tactics, we kind of need to understand that manipulation invisibly exploits our hardwired instincts. We're naturally wired to be cooperative, right? To give people the benefit of the doubt and to avoid conflict. Well, psychologist George Simon Jr. actually spent decades studying this, and he uncovered a pretty fundamental problem. He said victims keep assuming good faith when none exists. Because you are naturally cooperative, you just assume the person across from you is playing by the exact same social rules. But manipulators, they use our natural cooperation right against us.
Usually, when someone does something confusing or downright hurtful, our first instinct is to ask, wait, why would someone do that? We try to find a logical, empathetic reason, but if we want to spot manipulation, we need a massive paradigm shift. Actually, scratch that. It's more like a total rewrite of our brain's default setting. We have to stop asking why and start asking, what do they gain from this? Seriously, what do they gain from your confusion, your guilt, or your silence?
Moving on to Section 2. Gaslighting and love bombing.
First up on this front is gaslighting, which is simply the act of denying someone's reality. You've probably heard phrases like, that never happened, or you're being too sensitive, or you're remembering it totally wrong. The term actually comes from this 1944 film called Gaslight, where a husband secretly dims the lights in his home and then totally convinces his wife she's just hallucinating the whole thing. The ultimate goal here? To make you doubt your own perception so the manipulator gains the upper hand. Every single time you doubt yourself, they profit.
Now contrast that with love bombing. At first glance, you might think, hey, an overwhelming flood of attention, compliments, gifts, and affection? That sounds like a pretty great problem to have. It feels like you finally found someone who truly gets you. But under the surface, it's actually manufacturing a psychological debt. Human nature dictates that when someone gives us a great deal of something, we naturally feel obligated to return the favor. Love bombing creates this enormous imbalance that the manipulator fully intends to collect on.
So remember this, if affection feels way too intense, way too fast, it is a setup. It's not a love story. The warmth is just a trap. Because the sudden coldness that inevitably follows, that harsh withdrawal of all that affection, that is the actual mechanism of control. You'll do almost anything to get that initial warmth back, paying off that psychological debt over and over and over again.
All right, Section 3. Triangulation and moving goalposts.
These next couple of tactics are all about using pure chaos to keep you completely off balance. In triangulation, a manipulator introduces a third party just to create insecurity. A partner might casually drop how their ex never had a problem with this, or a parent might compare you to a sibling. Maybe a manager tells you privately that a coworker thinks you're underperforming. See what's happening? It forces you to compete for approval you didn't even know was at stake, and it keeps you entirely focused on the drama of the triangle instead of the person actually manipulating you.
Next up is moving the goalposts. This is a tactic perfectly designed to exploit high achievers. The trap works exactly like this. Step 1, a request is made. Step 2, you work your tail off to meet it. But then, Step 3, magically, a brand new condition is added. You think to yourself, okay, I just need to try a little bit harder and I'll finally earn their approval. But spoiler alert, you won't. The race was designed to have absolutely no finish line. The real goal was never the stated requirement. It was your sustained emotional effort. Which brings us to Section 4, the DARVO defense. So what happens when you actually catch a manipulator and confront them? Well, researcher Jennifer Freyd identified something called the DARVO response. It stands for deny the behavior, attack the confronter, and reverse victim and offender. You raise a totally valid concern and suddenly, out of nowhere, you are the problem. Your tone was wrong. Your timing was inconsiderate. It literally weaponizes your own empathy right against you.
And honestly, the most frustrating reality of DARVO is that the original issue just completely vanishes. Poof! You brought up something that genuinely hurt you, but within minutes, you find yourself defending yourself, apologizing, and, incredibly, comforting the very person who just harmed you. It is a masterful, completely invisible chain that flips the script entirely.
Finally, Section 5, How to Break Free.
Now that we've mapped out these invisible chains, it's absolutely crucial to remember something. Awareness is not cynicism. It's pattern recognition. Just being able to name these tactics makes you psychologically literate. You can finally read a situation for what it actually is rather than what you just hope it to be. And you know, a lot of people who use these tactics aren't even fully aware they're doing it. But honestly, that doesn't matter. Because your awareness is the only variable in this whole equation that you actually have control over.
So the next time an interaction just feels kind of off, don't talk yourself out of it. Don't make excuses for them. Just pause for a second and ask yourself, what does this person gain from my confusion, my guilt, or my silence? That single powerful question cuts right through the fog. I want you to think about the social contracts in your own life this week. Are they serving you, or are they serving someone else? Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today, and remember, keep asking the right questions.